let's start.
Okay. Good evening. I'm Dr. 𝐎𝐞𝐲𝐶 from UCMS, Department of Physiology, and welcome to our third session of Open Space by Space UCMS. That stands for Safe Place for Effective Counseling and Empathy. And today our topic is cultural diversity and inclusion. Now I'm aware that this topic does encompass a wide range of issues, but today in particular, we will be talking about racial discrimination faced by Northeast students in Delhi. Brief introduction. Cultural competence is really important, not only because it makes you a better human being, but as a physician, there's a lot of doctors here in the chat or future doctor-to-bes. You will have to be aware of the social issues that have a wide bearing on the health of your patients. Racial discrimination has been found to have a profound effect on the mental health of your patients. They have attributed to stress, depression, anxiety, even physical symptoms like increased blood pressure and insomnia. So let us make ourselves more aware of it, and who better to talk about it than our guest here today. Ma'am, thank you so much for being with us here today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Okay. I'll give you a short introduction of our guest speaker. Ms. Shradha Chettri is from Kalimpong in Darjeeling. She is a reputed and senior journalist and has worked with such esteemed papers such as Hindustan Times and Indian Express, and currently she's working with Times of India. She has posted a variety of articles regarding education in Delhi campuses. She's a huge champion for the welfare of students, and she has also written in the past about this racial discrimination against Northeast students. So, ma'am, would you like to add to the description? Anything you want to tell us about yourself?
No, I think that's fine. You've said quite a bit of it, like so. Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. Then, ma'am, should we start on the topic? What are your thoughts on the topic? Please have the stage. Please have the platform.
Yeah. So as soon as I was approached, the first question when I was approached was like, but see, I am not from the Northeast, but there is also a story to it. Okay. So
okay.
I first said when somebody approached, when somebody from your team said, there is a talk that we are organizing, and I thought you could be a guest speaker. But I was like, but hey, I am not from the Northeast, and considering the person knew that where I belong to and all, then he was like, yeah, then you can. It doesn't matter. We know you from Kalimpong, and that's not part of the Northeast, so it's fine. Then I said, oh yeah, readily, and it's a topic which I also very strongly feel about, considering. For the things that I have personally faced, and obviously being in a country like India, cultural diversity and inclusion, like you mentioned, then it's a very wide thing to talk about, right? So first I'll start with, I said that I'm not from the Northeast, right? But considering of my ancestral influence that I've had. So my grandmom also, though they had a Mongolian ancestry, so that is why the very fact that when I moved to Delhi, for that matter, so everybody attributed, because for people here in okay, you're not supposed to say, but the mainland India, that so certain so certain kind of feature means that doesn't matter where you come from, for them, Darjeeling, Kalimpong, Sikkim, it's just one thing, the Northeast, and for them Northeast also, it's not just 7 states or something, it is Assam. You are from Assam. So, and most of the time people have thought I am from Assam, and again, considering my feature, I have had several instances where people have called me out, and I've tried to be gutsy and fought about it and all. So that is where the problem is, because I cover education in that sense of the term. So that is where we are lacking. When we're talking about diversity, there is no education about what diversity is about. People have no idea that there is a population, a considerable population of the Northeast, and within the Northeast also we are so diverse, right?
True.
Somebody from Nagaland will not be similar to what people in Manipur do, right? But
no.
That is where I think, despite so much, we've failed like terribly to, to create some sort of awareness and to make people know, like, see, we are also a part. First and the foremost is like we've not tried to, like, make people realize that Northeast is also an integral part of India. Without that, say, the northeastern section, the map of the country is not going to be, like, one, like, it is not complete, right? But then,
True.
but it is, I think, I don't know why, what went wrong or what it is, that there is still, despite so much, I think there's been considerable movement about it, but still there are lacuna here and there, and I don't know, it's going to take a lot of time to fulfill that, and it is a great thing, like, educational institutions are talking about it, right? Because that is where education, and then that is how it moves forward in the society, and it climbs up the ladder, and there's an understanding of it. So I think it's a great topic that has been picked up, and there have been instances in Delhi itself and in different parts of the country, how people from the Northeast have gone through mental trauma, right? Like, the physical abuse is something, it's one part of it, but there is also that mental trauma that they go through, because there is no inclusion in the real sense of the term in the country, right? And they fail to understand that people from the Northeast move to cities, migrate, because there is some sort of upward mobility, there is opportunities, like, for everybody. People who are coming to Delhi are from, like, everywhere, like UP, Bihar, Northeast. So but the kind of treatment is not that same, and the treatment differs. It's only because of the kind of facial difference that we have, right? Yeah, appearances, all that gets attributed to us, and there's like a certain kind of stereotyping which happens in the way we behave, the way we talk, the way we eat, right? So and I think it's a great, and that has affected mental health of a lot of people. Like, I know a lot of them, right? Because of which there's sort of ghettoization. Look, people from the Northeast are also blamed, saying that you guys don't try to mingle, you all guys don't try to be part of it. But
you don't speak the same language, you don't eat the same food.
Same food, yeah. So that. So when people get into this ghettoization, it's because there have been initial circumstances. That is why you conditioned your way to, you conditioned yourself in that manner, and then instead of having troubles, like, you are like, okay, fine, I don't want trouble, I've come here for myself to make a career out of it, and so you just confine yourself. But then when people make comments like, you all don't mingle, like, so there is a background to it which they don't understand or try to understand, right? So when in, like, institutions like UCMS, or for that matter any big institution, is trying to talk about this, I think it's a great thing to do, and I think this is the only way forward, right? For the fact that we've been talking, like, history of the Northeast, what Northeast people in Northeast have joined, like, done for the country, should be highlighted in our educational books, but that I have been hearing for like so many years, but nothing happens, right? Like, so that I think this is the only way.
Okay, ma'am, we did a survey, and it was one part of the question. They asked why India is going so much forward in terms of education, but why are so many people still ignorant of this issue about the problems that we faced? That was one of the questions that the survey brought out.
Yeah, so that is what I'm saying. Now, when we read text, when we were young, when we followed a certain kind of curriculum, I come from an ICICI board, right? I studied in an ICICI board. So there you don't really find, and these are supposed to be the national boards, right? And national boards are supposed to teach everything, right? You don't leave out, but you don't have it. And then, but somehow, that part still remains. But what I do not understand is, and I've not been able to understand is, like, okay, fine, people who studied in the other parts of the country also studied the same text like we did, right? But how come we have that capacity to identify and say, okay, this our Northeastern, this is like this is the one state which is different. There's another state.
Accept the diversity of the country.
Yeah. We've accepted, because we also know somebody tell me Gujarat and Madhya Pradesh. I know what's the difference between that, right? I know the kind of people there. But yeah, but I don't understand why people from here, like who's grown up or does not even understand the difference between where Darjeeling, Kalimpong is and where Assam is, or for that matter, where Mizoram is or where Manipur is.
True.
So, you know, so that is, yeah, I know it's like a big thing that we should actually be working about, but it becomes a part of a headline, or it becomes a part of an issue to talk about if something happens in a big city, somebody from the northeast faces something, so then this becomes a burning topic, and we have to do something about it, but then like any other thing in our country dies down, so this also dies down. So yeah, I don't know how it is to get forward. Maybe the policy makers have to decide. So yeah, maybe we need to produce more policy makers from our side, so that they can make an impact in the the mainstream, so-called. So yeah, I think that is how it is.
Okay, ma'am, I'll ask you another question. Actually, you already mentioned it as well. So someone in the survey asked, we did a survey among Nordic students about the perception of racial discrimination earlier, and someone asked that she used to tolerate before, like you said, but these days she doesn't want to tolerate, he or she doesn't want to tolerate anymore, because she felt that resilience bring about more persecution. That's what her thought was, and she wanted to know your thought about this particular issue. Is it better to be the bigger man, just tolerate everything, or just speak up? But then speaking up has a danger of its own.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, right. Like you will try at your, and personally also I've tried at several levels to call out, but then everybody, you somehow you get scared for your life, and you get scared for the consequences, because you don't want to get into unnecessary trouble, right? Because you are in a land which is not yours, and you are also trying to figure out things, and then getting into trouble.
We're in our own country, but we have to feel insecure and unsafe, even though it is our own country and we're Indians.
Yeah, so that ways, I know it's important to call out and stand up. How much will you tolerate? Like one day you may tolerate one, but because it is dangerous, right? Right, what had happened in when I think
past.
Which year was it? Yeah, when Nido Tanya was killed.
6 years ago, I think.
Yeah, 6 years, 2012, 13. I think it was 2013, right? So he had also tried to resist, but what the consequences were. Yeah. So then you get scared, and then
consequence.
Yeah, so then you think, it's fine, it's better, like I will listen to it, and after some point you just become deaf to it, and then you are like, fine, it doesn't matter, you go on with your life, we will go on with your life, kind of an attitude, which should actually not be in the ideal kind of a circumstance, but the reality is obviously different. It's important to call out, it's important to try to fight, but then at the end of the day, your lives matter, right? Your personal lives matter. So it's like a double sword, like you don't know how to deal with. You don't have a solution for it like that. So yeah.
And all this,
I think that's
read about the anxiety, the stress, the mental health problem, because we keep it suppressed inside.
Yeah. So how do you express also, right? Like then the only thing that you can discuss is when you are among us. You said like, I felt that certain people did like this, they did this. But then what at the end of the day, you just you can only discuss among yourselves, and among yourselves also everybody is feeling in some way or the other, right? So some way or the other going through the same kind of thing. So yeah, I'm sure people who must have been called out or treated so badly, I think it lasts in their head for long, right? Everybody will not be so strong-headed or strong-willed will say like, okay, it's fine, I can deal with that, I will not listen to them. But some people are very sensitive, they get affected, and obviously, getting affected, obviously your mental health is being affected. So see, for this, I think when you ask me something, recently when the entire COVID-19 coronavirus started, right, the people who were called out called coronavirus just because they thought it's come all the way from China. So people from the northeast, so since they look like Chinese, so it's okay to call them, right? So,
Yes, that is
imagine the
very
people
true.
who must have gone through. It must have
So
affected
much,
their
no?
mental health. Yeah. They must be going through their own circumstances in the sense like you're losing your job, you're like you are, because obviously it was like it's like a very different kind of a circumstances, right? Everybody is trying to figure out like you're supposed to be confined to our houses, you're not supposed to meet
Mm,
your friends, and for
true.
many people they must have lost their jobs, right? And on top of that you are
Lost their
adding,
house, their residence,
yeah,
even
residents, right?
sometimes get threatened. Yes.
Yeah, and then on top of that, then you are listening to, you're being called out in that manner, right? So then
Mm.
obviously it is, what are you trying to do? You're just adding on that mental stress, like, and it's bad, and you don't understand because for somebody who's calling out, it's like, okay, I just called out, but the other person does not know what other circumstances that the person might be going through,
True,
right?
true.
So yeah, it's I don't, it's exactly, I don't know how one deals with this. Yeah,
This is
so
very important for these physicians, especially people who are interested in this kind of field in treating patients' mental health, because these issues
hmm.
have a very profound effect on the mental health. So it's a very important issue for future physicians to know, because this type of thing will come in their doctor-patient relationship. So it's very, very important. Maybe
So
they
how
can
is it for
contribute.
yeah? So how
Yes,
is it in your medical institutions? Is it bad? Like,
ma'am. I can't personally say for all the department, but my department is the best. Sir Satendra
in
has
terms
made me
of
feel very welcome. Yes, and not only sir, all my professors are very understanding. My colleague
huh,
is very open-minded, very good.
acha,
So all my seniors, my colleague, I haven't faced anything as such in terms of discrimination or feeling alienated. Even though I came all the way from Manipur, this is my first time in a big
yeah,
city, but I
huh,
still felt very welcome. So, but unfortunately, there's so many people who are not fortunate enough like me. So,
yeah,
so when Sarah first asked me to do this session, even I was like, I have never faced any discrimination before. I don't know if I could be a good host for this,
yeah,
could give any good views on the topic. But then I read your article, ma'am, where you wrote on the occasion of Nido Tania's sad
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Dennis.
Then
So you wrote
yeah,
that you're so used to being called Chinky, Momo, all those, and you never thought those were
yeah,
discrimination. You just take it as granted. It was the same for me.
yeah,
I got called a lot of supposedly derogatory terms, but it
huh,
just flew past me. I didn't even understand the
yeah, yeah,
concept. But then,
yeah.
does it take incidents like the death or people being kicked out of the house to open our eyes to the topic? It's a very
Hmm.
sad thing.
Yeah, and but so for you, because since you are a medical practitioner, so when do you go to, because medical institutions, I know, like, universities, colleges, it's some sort of a protected space kind of a thing. But when you guys go
Yes.
to the hospitals and all, because I know UCMS is GTB hospital, so how
Okay.
does that work out? How is
I
it that for
haven't
you?
I haven't interacted with patients yet, but I can tell
Oh,
you
acha,
in terms of interaction with service providers such as taxi
huh,
drivers, maybe shopkeepers, they take one look at your face and they try to cheat you. They
yeah,
think that
yeah,
I'm an easy victim, so that kind of thing goes there. I have been called a lot of things. I've been asked where I'm from.
hmm,
On one occasion in my exam center, I
hmm,
gave them my Aadhaar card for identification. Like Aadhaar card is
yeah,
the biggest proof of being an Indian citizen. But they
Indian,
took my
yeah.
card and they asked me what country I'm from. So that was like a very sad moment for me.
Yeah, exactly. So see, exactly, right? We are so used to it, so we just laugh it out and we just leave it. But
True.
in ideal circumstances, it should not be, right? That is not what we deserve to be called out
No,
in
no.
that manner, right? So yeah, that is pretty sad, but I don't know how one brings a change in that fashion. So yeah.
That's true, ma'am. Ma'am, I'll take one more question. So one of the students asked, why is this Mary Kom being presented by someone who's not from Northeast? And is that a good thing, or what is your opinion on it? So this will come
definitely.
to race and representation.
Yeah, it's actual representation. Now, I have major problems with it, right? So recent instance, Mary Kom is one part of it, because and recently, because I am a Nepali, right? So when I think you've seen the much talked about movie on Netflix, no, Akome.
Akuni.
Akuni, yeah. So I had because that particular thing has tried to make a kind of representation, right? But the person who is acting as a Nepali, a girl from Sikkim, right? Like, how she isn't a Nepali, right? She is somebody else, right? Shiny Gupta, right? So we had major problems with it, and a lot of my friends and all of us how can, and there was so much of distortion, representation
with the representation. Okay.
Yeah, so there is so much of distortion, because see, for a Manipuri girl, there was a Manipuri actress, right? For a person in the role who was representing Arunachal Pradesh, the person was from that part of, so they understand things. And obviously when you are an actor, you would want to improvise and say, no, this is not the way it is done, this is how it happens in us. So probably if Mary Kom was also represented by somebody from the Northeast, they could have improvised so many things, right? Like, the way we eat, the way we talk, the way we deal with things. Because Mary Kom with Priyanka Chopra felt very superficial kind of a thing. Yeah, and I think if you are making movies,
to be fair,
it is important.
Maybe they're regarding the commercial aspect, maybe the audience pool value, maybe they were considering all that.
It is like big banner production, so it's like celebrity and that because Indian mentality, celebrity worship, idol worship kind of a thing. So obviously you have to give it to them, but had it been somebody from the Northeast representing I think that is what should be the way forward. And if that is done, people will at least start accepting you, oh, it is how it is, like that, right? So, and then there will not be areas where they can go wrong. Even a filmmaker cannot go wrong, because there is actual representation happening, and the people from the Northeast are also relating to it. People from the so-called mainland are also understanding this is what their culture is about.
We could relate better, true.
Yeah, because the very first thing only is the accent, no? Priyanka Chopra may have tried, but her accent and Mary Kom's accent is no. It is not, you cannot even think about matching it. But see, had it been someone from the Northeast talking in that same tone, then people who are watching the movie would have understood, right? Like, this is how they talk, and it's normal. So, that is, I think it's a very valid point. If you are making some movie from the Northeast, there is enough talent pool from there, and then show that that is a way of trying to show representation, show diversity, So show it in the real sense of the term. And if you have a good story, if you have a good plot, you have a good cinematography, I think it works. Yeah, I think now the Indian audience is not. Yeah, Indian audience is not like the 90s who used to like a big celebrity dancing to the thing. So I think it's important. There is because and know the power of the films in our country, right? So I think that is the way forward for creative people to actually do. So I hope somebody
spread the awareness as well.
Yeah,
yes, there are participants. And Sir Satendra said, same is the issue with non-disabled actors performing disabled characters in Bollywood. So
yes, majorly.
They agree with.
Yeah.
I think it's better for people to be representative when they're actually disabled or actually from the same community. That would be better for more awareness, for spreading awareness as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
So,
are there still questions?
Any question from the audience? Audience is also welcome to put any question they like. And okay, one more thing. So some of the respondees to the survey asked, can we be considered as instigators in some cases? In some cases, discrimination. Are we at fault in some cases?
See, like I mentioned, right? Like, you know, there is this kind of ghettoization that I was talking about, like how even coming to a city, we like to confine with our people, like, you know, we like to confine in like ourselves. But obviously, I said, like, you know, there are situations because of which you are forced to be doing that, right? But I think instead of calling it instigator, but I think what I would like to term it, you know, we make towards you know, like try to mingle, at least try to, you know, create a sort of awareness like that.
Okay.
So yeah, so I will not call instigating like that, because everybody is gone through some circumstances or the other. So I think it's more of like, okay, we can also make some effort, not depend. I'm not telling you to do it on a large scale, like just your neighborhood, yeah, right? Like you live in a certain place. Your neighborhood, try to create that understanding, try to help them understand. And I think if you go to Munirka, 𝐎𝐲𝐻𝐻, that is that place where little change has happened, right? There is a sort of an understanding. If you take, for example, 𝐎𝐲𝐻𝐻, it is originally supposed to be inhabited by people who had moved from Haryana, right? They are identified as Jats, so it was their village. But look the kind of amalgamation that has happened there, and everybody's acceptance. There is that some sort of acceptance. There is some sort of you know, they live like together in harmony. So you know, like these small steps, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, I will not call it we are instigators or something, but it's just like we also at some level or the other, to be accepted, we need to make an effort, a little effort.
True.
Yeah, that is what. Yeah.
Okay, I think that was a very good wrapped up of the subject, because we don't have any more questions from the audience, and I think we learned a lot today. So shall we wrap it up, ma'am?
If there's any question that I'm ready to take. I cannot think of anything that I would want to talk about.
I think we've covered a lot of topics already.
Quite to deal with it, but I think that is what, on a concluding note about what I told about how we also need to make an effort, is also we need to have representation in all the fields, right? Be it politics, be it bureaucracy, be it the media, be it educational field. So you know, that kind of, if our people, like if people from like the Northeast and otherwise can come and, like, you know, make their presence felt.
Impact.
So I think that is also, that is also some sort of effort you've tried, and that can also bring in some sort of inclusion, no? I think that is what we also need to do at the end, because every time we cannot just point fingers, oh, they did not accept us, that is, oh, they think that we are, but I think
we can't
also
always play the victim. True.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so we also need to make an effort and create our, you know, like some sort of a place in respective field, in respective organizations you are in, and I think that is where slowly, I know it's taken time, 70 years of independence, and still we are talking about this aspect, but I think that is like, don't play a victim always. At least you make an effort wherever you are, and you know, try to explain in a very small ways, like, okay, this is how we are, and this is how we're supposed to be, and this is how you have to accept us, and we will also accept you in that whatever way you are. So yeah, I think that's my concluding note and a message that I would want to give.
Oh, excuse me, ma'am. There are some questions that popped up when
then
we were still discussing. Is there a nodal officer for Northeast students in Delhi University?
Yeah, there is.
Oh, okay.
Every time it keeps on changing, but and also I'd like to say Delhi University is also, there's a nodal officer, but every college also has a Northeast cell and a Northeast coordinator who helps. And I've seen in the in the past, like they actually help, like it is
Okay.
there. So yeah.
So that
So
that is a very
because I
good thing
think
to
it is,
know.
yeah, because I think it is actually mandatory for all institutions to have it. Like there is the sexual harassment, like the committee that you are supposed to have. Even for
Okay.
institutions, the Northeast cell is highly recommended. I don't know whether it's mandatory, but it is highly recommended.
Okay.
So yeah.
One more question. What is your take on discrimination of people within the Northeast itself? I'm not sure who it's referring to. Maybe mainland Indians in Northeast, probably.
Yeah, that is another big problem, right? Like a simple example,
Very
like
true.
yeah, if you, because you're from Manipur and you are like a, I don't know exactly, but you also have like diverse
Oh, very, very.
tribes
There's a
and
lot
diverse,
of
and
different
within you also, you all
dialects,
obviously,
tribes.
yeah,
Yes,
and
yes.
also, yeah, so that is one part of it, but also in the Northeast also, people like now now we refer to like the people from the mainland who's there, right? I think they, yeah, yes, I realize that they have a lot of acceptance problem, and there are rules and laws, which like does not allow people to own a land or buy a land, and there
True.
is acceptance problem. Yes, I completely understand, like there also some changes need to be brought, because I remember I had somebody I knew who was not actually from the Northeast, but I think the person was from Bihar, but was born and brought up in Meghalaya. He used to, so they had a lot of problems. Yeah, even a lot of Nepali people who settled in parts of Assam, settled in other places, they're not treated very well. So yeah, that is a problem, and they're also, you need to make an effort and effort for when you are talking about integration and inclusion, when you are moving out of out of your state, right? So similar thing has to be, because charity begins at home, right? So
Very
it's
true.
like that, and I totally accept that there is problems, there is discrimination within the Northeast as well. So yeah, that there also we have to work on it.
Okay. Thank you very much, ma'am. I think there's no more questions. That was
Yeah,
very eye-opening. A very nice
yeah,
discussion on the issue. I think we'll
yeah.
wrap it
Even I
up now.
enjoyed the discussion. Yeah, yeah,
Really enjoyed it. Okay. Thank you,
yeah.
ma'am.
Thank you. Thank
I
you.
hope everyone, this will spread the awareness more on the subject.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, it's done, right? I can log out, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah. All right.
You
Okay,
can log
thank
out,
you.
ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you everyone for coming to the discussion. I will be logging out now. That's the end of it.